Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Legacy Link to the Hall County ACAP chapter. Today we are going to have a presentation on residential options when home no longer meets your parents' needs. Just keep in mind this is recorded. If you need any refreshments, they are over here on the wall. And if you need the bathroom, go out that door to the left, and there's 2 bathrooms on the left. So we'll go ahead and get started. So here at Legacy Link, our mission is to support and advocate for aging adults and individuals with disabilities to be their link to a better life.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Amy Allen, and I'm the Health Programs Director here at Legacy Link. And I have had the privilege of working with this organization for over 20 years. And within those 20 years, I have assisted in transitioning hundreds of individuals from independent living into assisted living. We currently have around 140 individuals who are living in assisted livings currently.
And I'm Elaine Harkins. I'm the ADRC Director. ADRC stands for Aging and Disability Resource Connection. So we are essentially the intake department. So when somebody comes to us for services or resources, they come through the ADRC. So we're essentially the first point of contact. And Amy has been here a lot longer than me, but I have been here quite a while too, and primarily working in the ADRC department, helping people to access those services and supports.
Okay, so this is the overview of our program this morning. As parents age, they may face a need or desire to change their housing arrangements. And so this program will provide you with information on evaluating those housing options and addressing questions that you may have regardless of where that individual is on their caregiving journey. We hope that you will leave with an overview of an array of residential options and some resources available to assist individuals in the community as they age.
All right, so today we'll be kind of talking about in more depth the different residential options, which include independent living, assisted living or personal care homes, skilled nursing or nursing homes, and memory care units. So we'll start off with our independent living. So this is an option for older adults who are able to live still in the community on their own without intensive medical or personal care needs. But instead of living in a house or an apartment complex, they're in a 60 or 65 or older apartment complex that can cater more to their needs on an individual basis. So right there you can see a picture of Town Club Windermere, which is in Forsyth County, which is coming. So this is going to be a independent living. We'll talk more later about memory care and the nursing home side, but this is one of those communities that's like a step. So you can start in independent living, move to assisted living, move to nursing home care if that's the path that you take. But for the independent living part of it, some of the benefits include social interaction, amenities, transportation, meals, housekeeping, and safety. So with your social interaction, you're going to get things like planned outings, resident clubs, and parties. With amenities, you're going to get things like swim and tennis, gyms. Some places are set on golf courses. There may be a golf membership, and then groups of just specific interests. Transportation, of course, some people may be living at the independent living facilities but may not be comfortable driving anymore, so there are transportation options through those places. Take them to places like the grocery store, running errands, to doctor's appointments, just anywhere that they need to go, basically. With meals, there are different packages they can purchase. They can pay per meal, or there could be a meal package like 3 meals a day, just whatever they work into their budget. With housekeeping, it could be something like just picking up the trash outside of their door every day, all the way to somebody coming in, providing like cleaning of the bathroom, changing sheets, taking trash out, anything that you would think of for housekeeping. And then for safety, most of these places are key entry. You have to either have a key to get in or, of course, see a front desk if you're a visiting person. So they are locked on the outside to the general public, but you can access them if you do need to get in. Of course, all of these things that we're going to talk about, or that we've talked about with independent living, most of them are add-on expenses. So it's not generally included in just the flat rate. So what is the cost for independent living? So the median cost for this year is $3,100 per person. That's going to be just your basic, like, one bedroom apartment. So one bedroom, bathroom, kitchen, living area. Again, that does not include any add-ons. So it could get quite costly to live in an independent living community, because you can have your laundry services, your housekeeping, your transportation, your activities all added into that monthly cost. So the cost can increase based on add-ons, and it can increase also based on where the person is wanting to live. So, of course, the closer you get to Atlanta, the more expensive it may be. So how do you find an independent living facility? Of course, you can Google search properties. You can use a placement agency. Some of those that just randomly come up when you Google are a company called Assisted Living Locators, A Place for Mom, which you've probably all seen the commercials for. And then there's one called Better Life Senior Solutions. There's many more. Those are just a few examples of agencies that do help with placement. You can also call Legacy Link. We have a database that has resources throughout the state, but is specific to our area, and we can provide you a list of any kind of independent living community that we have in the database. Again, these are all private pay. There's not going to be any kind of assistance for people who are wanting to live in independent living.
Okay, so assisted living and personal care home, that terminology is kind of used interchangeably. They're the same thing. If you hear somebody talk about assisted living or you talk about someone being a personal care home, that's the same thing. By definition, an assisted living or a personal care home is a residential setting that provides housing, meals, and services for people who need some help with daily tasks, but not as much as what they would need in a nursing home. Okay, typically individuals who go into an assisted living or personal care home are going to need assistance with 2 activities of daily living. Okay, and those, if you're not familiar with them, are bathing, hygiene, maybe some dressing, maybe some assistance with transfers. Unlike the independent situation, in assisted living, all of their needs are covered underneath the fee. Okay. And so some of the services that are providing in these facilities are, of course, their room and board. There is a semi-private option where they could have a roommate, and then there's a private option. They will receive 3 meals a day plus snacks. They can receive care with their personal care. Medical monitoring, there's always a nurse on staff that can assist with helping with blood sugars, blood pressures, weights if they have congestive heart failure, things like that. They also administer medications. They're not allowed to have their medications in their room and take them by themselves. They have to have them administered by a licensed nurse. Also, the housekeeping and the home maintenance is included with an assisted living. Also, socialization and companionship. Of course, it's a big area. They come into common areas like to receive their meals. They have to come in for that, and their activities are provided in common areas. So a lot of times people who lack that socialization or companionship will pursue an assisted living for those things. There's also activities and programs that they're required to provide for their residents, and that can be anywhere between maybe a craft night or a game night, something like that. There's fitness. They may bring someone from the community in to assist them in whatever kind of fitness. A lot of things that are really popular is chair exercises, and so they may bring someone in from the community so that they can participate in that kind of fitness. And there's also entertainment, and that can be anywhere between someone coming in and providing a religious ceremony to individuals in the community coming to sing, or maybe they may have a comedian come in. It all just depends on what that activities director puts in place for these individuals. And it says more assisted living facilities require residents to be independent with transfers and mobility. So that means that if they are in a wheelchair, and they can be in a wheelchair and go into an assisted living facility, they must be able to move themselves independently from that wheelchair into a chair, a regular chair. They also want to make sure that they're mobile enough that in the event of an emergency that they're able to leave their room and evacuate as necessary. How does this go right here? Okay. So what is the actual cost of an assisted living or personal care home? The average cost of the assisted living in Georgia is around $4,000 a month. Okay. And again, like what Elaine said with those independent residents, it really just depends on where you're looking. We have some in Habersham County that are going to cost less than the ones that are in Savannah or in Metro Atlanta. And one of the biggest fears that people have in regards to pursuing assisted living is that cost. They're so afraid that they can't afford it. So Cedarhurst Senior Living is right down the road. They have one here in Oakwood and they have one in Flower Branch. And they have this really amazing tool that I found in preparation for this presentation called a true cost calculator. So we're going to go through that and we're going to see what it looks like. Oh, Elaine, help me. I need to be able to click that. We're going to be able to see, hopefully, what it'll look like in comparison to what someone's current bills are compared to what it would be like if they were to go into assisted living. Give us 1 minute. They evaluate by using 7 questions. And all of those questions go as far as calculating the mortgage, how much you spend per month on your mortgage or HOA fees. They look at if someone is coming in to assist an individual, how much time that person may be in there to assist, and they calculate per hour for pay. And when I did it myself, I was really surprised at what the difference was and how much it costs to live independently and how much it costs to live in an assisted living home. Can you type in true? I think it was, what is it, true?
Do you remember where it was?
You should just be able to go to the true cost calculator.
Is it in Gainesville?
There it is. Okay, so here we are.
Okay, you'll have to look at it.
That's
on there and do it.
Okay, so here are the 7 questions. It says we need to learn the facts about the true costs and then make a decision in regards to whether or not we're going to stay at home or move into a senior living community. And then it says, did you know that some people delay a move based on fears they can't afford a senior living community, but that's before they compare the costs. And like I said, when I did it myself, I was kind of shocked at what goes out and compared to what it would cost to live in a community. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to select from the 3 choices below, which describes the current neighborhood of the person considering to move into an assisted living. And it says, did you know a senior living's community fees include all property taxes, utilities, and cable? So where do we live? Do we want to live in a rural or small town, a moderately sized suburban town, or in a bigger city or urban area? Middle. Okay. All right. We're moderately sized suburb or town. Now we're going to talk about dining. It wants us to select from the 3 choices below. If remaining at home, how will the individual receive his or her meals daily? Sure. And you were thinking about transitioning both of those people into assisted living? I think that for this exercise, it would be based on fears. For 2 individuals. Mm-hmm. Yes, they do. Yeah. Okay, so 3 balanced healthy meals plus snacks are provided every day in a senior living community. But this is what we're going to do. If we're going to remain at home, how would this individual receive his or her meals? Would they prepare all the meals themselves? Would they prepare some and have some carried in? Or would most of their meals be brought in? So they do some and then some people bring them. This is home maintenance. If remaining at home, which services will the individual need? Did you know that the maintenance and housekeeping are provided in a senior living community? So we can choose any of these. So are they going to need help with their lawn care and yard work? They're going to need with housekeeping and home maintenance. So we're going to choose all three. Okay. All right. This is companionship. To receive personal care and companionship services in your home, the hourly rate depends on the services provided and averages around $26.50 an hour. Please indicate how many hours of these services will be needed each day. So that could be somebody coming in to prepare meals, someone to just come in and provide that companionship, or it could actually be someone physically coming in and assisting with bathing and dressing and making sure they get up for their day. So what do you want to say? 4 hours, 5 hours, give or take? Okay, all right, let's go with 4 hours. Going in there. There we go. Okay, how many hours of friend-family assistance is currently provided for the person considering a move into senior living community? While living at home, many may come to rely on the support and assistance of friends and family more often than is realized. So good friends and loved ones are present how many hours per week? Yes. Mm-hmm. It can. Mm-hmm. 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 Okay. Yeah, so that's at least 14 hours a week. That's 2 hours a day, which a lot of times is way more. Yeah, we could. Yeah. You want to do 20? Yeah. Okay, let's do 20.
That's basically saying, that's saying that people are doing on.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So when you're paying for that person, it kind of supplements, and provides that caregiver that's doing that hands-on, that relief. So, all right. So we'll do 20 hours a week where family and friends are coming in to assist our individual. And then indicate below if you would like to include the average cost of entertainment as determined by the U.S. Bureau of Labor Services Junior Cost Comparison. Do you want to include entertainment? Okay. All right, so here we go. We included entertainment. Indicate below whether the person considering a move to a senior living community currently pays a mortgage, rent, or HOA. Let's say yes. What is the current monthly expenses for mortgage, rent / HOA fees? Yeah. It's definitely higher than that. We want to go 2,500? Let's see. Now that's your mortgage and your HOA fees. All right, let's go. Yeah, there are different factors in with that.
Insurance, just, I would say 15.
Okay, so y'all want to go down?
Yeah.
That the house is paid for. Okay. All right. We all agree? We're going with 1,500 for our. All right. Please select the housing option that you're considering below. We're going to do assisted living because Elaine's going to talk about memory care later. And then we're going to see the results. We're ready? Here we go. So here's how staying in your home with assistance compares to moving to a senior living community. So a current home, $9,425, and in a senior living community would be $4,500. based on the fictitious scenario that we put in. So it's definitely different. Okay,
That's amazing.
it is.
Get you back.
All right, so let me get us back to where we're at. Okay, so that was for a private pay option, okay, for assisted living. There are other payment options. That was the private pay. You can also, in order to finance the assisted living, you could cash in insurance policies, annuities, trusts. There are governmental programs that can assist with supplementing the cost of assisted living. Those governmental programs fall through Medicare, Medicaid, state insurance plan, and aid and attendance through the VA. And then, of course, personal funds that could help with privately financing the facility would be from a savings, retirement, investments, or proceeds from selling a house. And then one of the, I wanted to put this slide in here because this is what I do with Legacy Link. I oversee the operations of our Medicaid waiver programs. I was hoping in preparing for this presentation that I would find that there are other Medicaid waiver options that will assist with assisted living or personal care, but I only found that those fall under the elderly and disabled waiver, which are the community care waiver program and the service options using resources in community environments. Both of these programs are governed by the Department of Community Health. And in order to qualify both programs, an individual must meet an intermediate nursing home level of care. So that means that if the services that were not provided, if they didn't receive those services, then they would end up in an institution in a nursing home. They must present with a functional impairment, and they must require assistance with activities of daily living, which is what we talked about in the previous slide in order to actually move into an assisted living. And then the waiver, the elderly disabled waiver, does assist in supplementing the cost of the assisted living. Mm-hmm. It's the CCSP and source waiver. It's combined underneath the elderly and disabled waiver. Mm-hmm. I did, and I couldn't find it. I couldn't find that they would supplement. Sure.
I just had a good for many years.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that I like to mention is that all these new nursing, all these new living things on the place, those are private. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Most places that you see that are nice, that you think I could live there, they're private pay. They don't take any money or waiver from the government. So what that means is that you have to find, in Georgia, it's very, very important to find a place that does take Medicaid, takes Medicaid. And they're usually run down and they don't have good resources. So, don't think that like all of a sudden you're gonna go from like living a nice life in your house to living in a nice life in your living. Because it doesn't work that way. It just doesn't. It's a shame, but these assisted living places are so expensive. And then on the other end, the Medicaid places are so bad.
Well,
In general.
yeah, yeah. We always ask our families to go evaluate it. We're not promoting it. These are just the homes that are available underneath our waiver. And they do have to meet the criteria through the ombudsman and all of that sort of stuff. And healthcare facility regulators, they have to meet all of those criteria in order to be in assisted living. So we just always tell them, go visit it, see what you think, let us know, and then if we can assist in transitioning. Mm-hmm. 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 Say something.
And if you do have somebody that is interested in going to an assisted living or personal care home through a Medicaid waiver, they're going to come through the intake department and the ADRC department first. We're the ones that go through all of the preliminary criteria. We perform the assessment over the phone or in person to help families kind of get onto those waivers to provide the assisted living or the personal care home for their loved ones. We do provide them with a list of personal care homes if they don't already know where they want to go. And we highly encourage them to please call, please Google them, please make an appointment. The personal care home does want to generally meet the person before they accept them. And so that gives the family and the client an opportunity to go out, see the facilities that they're potentially looking at living in. Most of them are going to be in residential areas. So my parents live in the Chestatee region, and they have an assisted living inside of their neighborhood, and it's a 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom house. Looks like your typical house on the outside, but it's a Medicaid personal care home on the inside. We do have a couple places that are more like facility type that people can go live at, but generally it looks like you're walking into somebody's house. Also, when we talk to people over the phone and they're interested in these facilities, and they have a dementia diagnosis or a suspected dementia diagnosis, we do let the family know that these are not locked down. So the Medicaid assisted living personal care home is not a lockdown facility. If they wander, they may wander. We see the ambulance go down the road often in my mom's neighborhood because they didn't realize that they were going to wander, or they progressed in their disease and the ambulance has to come get them and take them back home, or the police or whatever. So there are some other stipulations to the waiver. It's a little more stringent on getting in, but it is an option for people who may be low income or that's their only option. So yes, ma'am.
So the process, is it like, for instance, is that something a family should think about in advance? You know, like, and I don't even know, this is all new to me, but I guess there's phases of dementia. So if we're like the early kind of part, should we go ahead and start doing intake and talking to people and, you know, and their treatments, stuff like that?
Yeah, so if you're at like an information gathering point, you're not quite there yet for services, you can certainly call into the ADRC. A counselor will talk to you, tell you all of the options for the person. It may be that they're actually not ready for assisted living or personal care home yet. So the SOURCE and the CCSP waiver also provide in-home care. So Amy has staff of case managers and nurses, and they broker services out to different providers, and they can get an aid in their home for housekeeping, personal care, meals, an ERS button. They would still go through the intake department to get on that waiver, but the personal care home assisted living is a built-in option to that waiver. If you think somebody's ready for that step, I would call in, talk to a counselor, because it's not just as easy as calling in, answering the questions. We have to talk about financial things, like if you own a home or any property, if you've transferred any property, do you have any assets? What is your income? You have to be willing to surrender income to go to a personal care home. If you have an income over a certain level and you want in-home services, you may have to pay per month for those. So there's it's not as easy as, I need to go to a personal care home.
Yeah.
Sometimes there is a waiting list involved because these personal care homes are small. They may only have, what's the bed capacity?
6.
Yeah, so they may only have 6 beds in one personal care home. It's not a big facility. So if it's full and that's where you really want to go, you have to wait for an open bed.
But then there's some homes that have up to 24, so it just depends. Those are family and group models. That's the difference in assisted livings there.
When you measure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And if you have somebody that you think has dementia and they have not received a diagnosis yet, you can ask your doctor for a referral to the memory assessment clinic, which we have one in Gainesville now through NGPG. And they can go through that process to get an actual dementia or Alzheimer's diagnosis. No. You just have to have your doctor fill out the And Veronica could probably give you some more information on that. She's our dementia care specialist here at Legacy Link. So
I think it's important too, if you're looking at pursuing any kind of Medicaid waiver to do the research in regards to estate recovery and those sorts of things, because there is a time period where you can transfer assets prior to actually enrolling into a Medicaid waiver. Okay, any other questions for assisted living? All right, we're going to jump on to skilled nursing and nursing home. So a skilled nursing facility or nursing home is a residential facility that provides medical care and rehabilitation services for patients who need short or long-term care. Your skilled nursing facilities are your short-term care. So those are the ones that whenever an individual goes into the hospital, they break a hip, they need 21 days to recover, they go into a skilled nursing facility, okay? And that's where they provide all their PT, their OT, get them, back, get their strength back, and then send them home. Nursing homes are different. They're more of a permanent placement, and those are for individuals who need 24/7 care, okay? There are over 350 long-term care facilities in Georgia, and they are serving over 40,000 residents. And the average cost of long-term care is around $8,000 a month. All right, and of course, along with the assisted living and personal care home, the payment options are the same. So, of course, individuals can private pay through insurance, annuities, or trust. They can utilize their savings, retirement funds, investments, or proceeds from selling a house, or they can tap into governmental programs like Medicare, Medicaid, the state insurance plan, and aid and attendance through the VA. Any questions in regards to that? Okay.
All right, so last we'll go over memory care. So this is going to be a residential care facility, kind of like a nursing home, that provides specialized care for people with dementia or Alzheimer's or other types of memory impairment. So much like a nursing home, you're going to have that 24-hour supervision. Those are lockdown facilities. You have to have a code to get in the main part. They're going to assist with activities of daily living, just like in a nursing home. But they're going to provide a little extra cognitive and social activity for stimulation. They can provide cognitive and social activities such as music therapy, art therapy, there's animal therapy, storytelling, exercise, and sensory stimulation. The music therapy has become very popular because it can bring back memories from 50 years ago. They may have had a favorite song, and the song starts playing, and maybe they're nonverbal, but it may bring out some kind of memory, and they may sing or hum, or it just makes them happy in general. And then animal therapy, of course, is really popular. And we do have some assistive technology devices that we can refer people out to if they were an animal lover. If they loved a cat or a dog, there is actually a robotic cat and a robotic dog. They're not very expensive. They can, have that if that's what they wanted. Because, a lot of times you go in and there'll be, people in nursing homes or memory care, they want to hold babies. Well, these are for animal lovers. So there's all kinds of just different kind of therapies and different kind of activities that are associated with memory care. Like I said, it is a lockdown facility. What's neat about some of them is, people with dementia or Alzheimer's may wander. So how are you going to keep them from accessing a door and possibly opening it? So I've been in facilities where it got confusing to me because I was like, well, that's a bookshelf. Well, no, it's not. It's the door to get out. So they have all kinds of things within a memory care facility that, make it feel like home, but it's keeping them safe. They're not able to kind of access and wander. So what is the cost of memory care? So the median cost this year was about $4,200 a month for a single person. Again, that can change based on what the needs are and where they live. So it can actually get up to $10,000 a month in the state of Georgia. Unfortunately, Medicaid, Medicare does not cover the cost of memory care. It is private pay. So you can Google search for property locations. Again, you can use a placement agency. We do have some memory care facilities in our database here at Legacy Link. We can try to pull those for you. A lot of the memory care units are going to be built into already existing communities. So earlier when we talked about independent living at Town Club Windermere, they have the memory care step. So if somebody moves in an independent and then they need assisted, they step down to that. And then maybe they're going to surpass the nursing home because they need that memory care component. They're going to step into that care facility, and it's all actually like one building, and it just kind of all runs together. So again, most of those places are already built into existing communities, and they are on a private pay basis.
Question.
Yes.
With those type of communities, continuum of care, can you give us an idea of the costs? I think there's usually a buy-in feature to those because it's built into the progression of care that maybe provided.
Yeah, so some of those are buy-in. So there's one in Gainesville. I cannot remember what it's called. It's like up
Legacy.
Lanier Village Estates. So in there, I believe there are there's homes in there. Then you can step into the independent living, go down to assisted, down to memory care or nursing. So I believe that there is a buy-in for a place like that. My grandparents live in one in Cumming, and there is no buy-in for that. It's just strictly, they went into independent, my grandfather stayed there, my grandmother went into the memory care part. There was no buy-in fee. There's, of course, the monthly fees for all the things he does and the extras that he pays for her, but they had no initial buy-in. But yes, there are places that there is a buy-in to the community.
What's the name of the one in
The one that I referenced earlier,
Well, the one that you're saying, but.
so my grandparents, they're at a place called Town Club Windermere. But there are probably one of those type where you can step into different stages probably in every county. It's just you could Google it or go through a placement agency, but they're pretty common in that you can get into these